Welcome to the Healthy Relationship Formula, where through authentic and intimate conversations, we will show you how emotional intelligence plus joint behavior changes equal romantic prosperity.
What kind of hat was that?
It was a Hardy.
I've never seen anybody make a hat like that.
So then how you see,
Like, maybe like this.
I do the same thing as you.
You did like
You
this.
have to, give it a little more zest.
All right, zesty.
Yeah. Anyway, hello, my darling.
Hi.
How are you doing?
I'm okay. How are you?
I'm pretty good. Pretty fancy. Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah. So what do you want to talk about today?
Well, I want to know if you've ever lost yourself in a relationship. And it could be ours, Don't hold back.
Lost myself?
Yeah, like giving up pieces of your like goals, your dreams, like anything you enjoy doing in service of like putting all that energy into the relationship or the other person.
Maybe when I want to be watching my anime or something like that and you want to harass me talking about, I want your attention. Remember that phrase? You ain't say that phrase in a long minute. A cool minute.
So then what are you talking about?
Because it's lurking. You've just manifested it in other ways. Like, all right, it's time for you to give me attention. That kind of thing. Yeah.
So you consider yourself losing yourself in giving your wife attention? That's crazy to me.
Losing leisure.
Okay.
But
Get off your chest. Tell me how you feel.
I'm just telling you a little jokey joke.
A little jokey joke?
Yeah, it's a little
Go
jokey
ahead.
joke. Because, it ain't really goals, and I got it back because now you're officially an otaku.
What is an otaku?
I don't really remember the meaning, but I feel like it's someone who loves anime.
Calm down.
Who is not from Japan.
All right. Now, I wouldn't say I love anime, so let's calm
One
down.
Piece, right?
One Piece is cool, yeah.
You love One Piece, right?
I don't, love is a strong word.
So you don't love One Piece. So if One Piece all of a sudden just stopped filming for whatever reason, I'm gonna knock on wood later. You would.
That would be unfortunate for sure.
You would be sad.
That would be unfortunate. I think
Because
our
you love
couch
One
might
Piece.
have some part wood or something.
Yeah, so we'll use that because we don't need nothing happening to our hero Eiichiro Oda. All right. So.
All right, buddy.
Yeah. Welcome to Demon School, Iruma-kun.
Yes, that is a cool one too.
So
I still wouldn't.
So if I get a fourth season, you wouldn't be.
I mean, I'd be like, man, that sucks. I'd like to know what happened, but not gonna cry.
Oh, okay. Okay. In any case, I got my time back because we got some folks hooked on some anime. One of the more mainstream, arguably the greatest anime of all time, which is quite fine, and a nice little slice of lifey kind of thing. So you got a little anime head going on, yeah. But on a more serious note, I don't really think so though. Like, really and truly, I think that you have helped me to reach a lot of the goals that I've had. This is easily the highest quality relationship that I have ever been in. Shade to everyone that came before.
Oh snap! Okay, period.
It's also like the one that has transpired after, well, not after, but during and moving into like being an adult, because I would have been in school the whole time, and then after I graduated, that's when like life really began. And for me, I've always known that I wanted to make a big impact to people and organizations, but I was never able to really conceptualize it into something until last year, into my mission statement of empowering people with tools to nurture their inner well-being, forge self-mastery, and build robust connections with others. And for starters, it was because of you indirectly and even directly throughout just our conversations, allowing me to ideate and intellectualize what I'm saying, that I was able to come up with that stuff, right? To where because you were working and bringing home the bacon, I had the time to sit down and really think about that, confront it, and put it into words. Even with like the whole thing of like moving, like I did not have like an immediate game plan of what I was gonna do after graduation, after I had lived with you for the summer. We were entertaining like looking for a job there, but like I know I always wanted to move to the States because I had always believed that getting into this environment and making it here would have led to a larger exposure to different people, different clients, for anything that I was doing. And I simply didn't have the balls to facilitate some kind of plan to get me here to begin with. And thanks to you wanting to go to school here, that didn't get in the way of my goals at all. It actually helped put me in the position to like be here, and anything else really, I think, has like, in terms of like inhibitions or limits, a lot of that stuff has really entirely been on myself and my deep procrastination, and that doesn't really have anything to do with you. Like sometimes, like in us, like right now, we have our yearly relationship goals and like our bingo thing, which incorporates both our joint stuff and some individual things. But like, again, it goes back to the procrastination, even though sometimes I feel like I'm splitting myself in different areas, trying to meet different objectives for the day. But yeah, overall, I think that you've done nothing but uplift me, my darling.
But be wonderful, I agree.
But uplift me, my
But
darling.
be wonderful, I agree.
Yeah, but uplift me, my darling. Let's not get too carried away. You
I
are
would
wonderful.
like to get carried away.
You are wonderful. But to say that you have been wonderful for 100% of the time, bed stealer, sheet stealer, is insane work. But it is okay that overall you are wonderful, my darling.
He done lost his mind.
But yeah.
Okay, cool.
Yeah. So, what about you though?
Similarly to you, first of all, like I don't claim nobody but Khef. Khef is my only relationship that I've ever had.
Cool beans.
But similar to you, anything else would have been like before I was an adult. I think
Adult.
an adult. Now, before I was an adult, I just turned an adult last year.
Oh.
So
Right, my bad.
I just turned an adult when I turned 25. So,
Okay.
Yeah.
So you're 25?
Yep.
26?
26.
Oh, okay.
You didn't know? Well, now you know.
Okay.
But I think like anything else would have been in terms of like let's say it was a goal, it was maintaining my friendships, and I think I sacrificed that in service of like keeping a level of comfort in the relationship, in terms of like I'll be hanging out with my friends and he would want to like come and hang out with me with my friends, and I know like it would make my friends uncomfortable, but like I felt weird saying something about it, so I like let it continue, or I just like would separate from my friends in order to kind of avoid that. So I think that would be like the one example. The only other thing I can think of, like if I had to say something for you and I, for example, is, and it's not really a you thing, more so a me thing, but I think I think I currently am sacrificing the ideal type of work I would like to do in service of us achieving things faster. Because I know, like, if I actually went and did like the social impact, social justice type of work that I wanted to do, I very likely wouldn't make the money that I make now. And the money that I make now, like, helps us achieve like the things that we want to achieve in the near and long term. So I think that would be the only thing I would say that I'm sacrificing in terms of goals. But that one is absolutely by choice. Sometimes. sometimes. But yeah.
Okay. Yeah, I definitely feel you. And one day.
But you understand that. I mean, when you worked at your job in Chicago, like that was very much in service of keeping a roof over our head and food on our plate. So
yeah. Yep. You know, and definitely shout out to the people that I worked with.
No shade to the folks,
Almost all of them.
All shade to the job.
There was only a choice person that I would have done better working without, but yeah, the job and the people were fine. Were fantastic. The people were fantastic.
That was like
the job responsibility was just not something that I would have just wanted to do forever. So yeah, I feel you. Yeah, definitely being able to just kind of sustain that. I guess it would have played a significant part of like not allowing me to reach whatever goals I would have had at that time, which are still the same now, which is launching a coaching program. But like, yeah, it all just comes back to like the procrastination, really and truly, and just like managing. I mean, I almost said time, but I watched a video the other day that really brought to my attention the significance of attention management as opposed to time management. And so that's definitely something I want to get into for sure. But yeah, what is like, I mean, like obviously, you've talked about like the social impact like job for sure, but what would you say is like the biggest individual goal for you, like outside of like your job, that you want to kind of work towards?
I want to visit all the continents except Antarctica. No shade to Antarctica, but you ain't got nothing going on.
That's crazy. You should put Antarctica back on the list. We could do like a cruise or something.
To Antarctica?
I'd love to.
It could be us and the penguins.
Oh, that's fine.
You're right.
Until they start making weird noises.
Until I want to bring one home. But yeah, like
kill this thing. That day is not going to survive here in the heat.
I guess. But yeah, it's interesting you asked me that, like the specifically outside of a career thing, because I feel like for the past couple of years, all my goals have been surrounding my career. Like getting my degree so that I could go into this space. And now I'm in this space. It's like, working on getting promoted, like thinking about ultimately like what I want to do if I'm going to stay in this particular company. Am I going to expand outside of the company at some point? What does that look like? And that has been my focus for a really long time. Because it's good to stop and think about like, what are the individual goals? And I think because, and this is something we've spoken about, I'm content in where I am individually, as well as like where we currently are in our relationship. I don't know if I necessarily have a ton of goals. So the goal right now, and has always been like, I love traveling. So that would be it, to go to all the different continents. And we're marking off South America soon. So that's cool.
Wait. Oh.
I was like,
No, I thought that this was like the secret trip to Japan.
oh no.
I was like South America. Yeah. Gotcha. But yeah, it's interesting that you found it interesting that I said that, or that you were thinking about that outside of the career, because even though I said outside of your career, I still very much was thinking and expecting you to say something within like your career, like specifically what I was specifically thinking of was outside of your current occupation, your full-time job. That's what I was like thinking of, in terms of like, any kind of social impact related stuff that you might do outside of that, which is reflective of the stuff that you just said of like spending so much time on like the career stuff. Because like for me, like that's essentially all that has been like on my mind, really and truly, in just trying to get a program to go, and wanting to make a shift recently to trying to focus on like more higher impact tasks that would actually finally allow me to launch that stuff. Like it's something that I think about daily, but also procrastinate on daily.
So I know you spend a lot of time like thinking about this. There are nights where you're like working on these things, like developing your website and things like that. So then I guess the question for you is like, outside of that, what are your goals? Or do you not exist outside of that?
That's a very great frame of thing you said, because yeah, I don't think that I have really existed outside of those thoughts very much, for real. Because like, it's the whole career thing, like especially driven by like my obsession of wanting to make some worldly impact. Then it would be like, yeah, maintaining my relationship, our relationship. But yeah, everything else absolutely has taken a pretty sizable backseat. I have a fair amount of messages that I have not caught up to for my friends and family. Sometimes they even kind of see it as like a bother relative to thinking about what else I could be doing. I used to play a lot of games. Haven't even turned on my Switch in a while. Yeah, that's a crazy revelation there. That I will be doing something about.
Good. And y'all gonna be doing something about it too, because that's part of your assignment.
Yeah.
So it's, it's not where we started, but I think something important has surfaced here in terms of, when we think about who we are, we think about it in the sense of like what we do for work or career, or how we support ourselves and our families. And then we've lost like that sense of like, who am I outside of work? Like, what are the things I like to do? What do I do outside of work? And we started this conversation talking about like losing yourself in a relationship, but then I feel like there's this piece about losing yourself in like a career type thing.
It definitely evolved. My bad, folks. But I guess, you know, it still has like some connection because like that's a valid point. Like my supervisor literally asked me the other day, what do I do for fun? And I struggled so hard to actually give her an answer because like outside of like watching TV and stuff and maybe like thinking about playing video games, that stuff has been so far removed from where I'm currently at. I don't actually have fun that often in like that leisurely way, which is insane,
That is extremely insane.
you know.
What would you like to do for fun?
You know, definitely play some more video games. Like that would be pretty cool. You know, I used to spend a lot of time playing music, playing my clarinet. If my clarinet case was open, it would probably catch a lot of dust. But fortunately, that's not the case. I used to exercise a lot more often.
But for fun?
Well, actually, no. So I guess even while I was in college, like, it was always like in service of something else, some kind of grand direction. So, man, what is this episode for real now? Like,
I don't know. I feel like it's turned into like a therapy session. It's like, who are you as a person?
yeah, yeah. So, yeah, a lot of the whole fun and leisure thing has really been eliminated. Like, where like you start to kind of think about all the stuff that you do in service of attaining some new height. Is this what it means to be a man? A stereotypical man?
I mean, then I might be a man too, because I also struggle to think about what I do for fun. You know, like come home, we figure out what we're gonna eat, we relax, it's time to go to bed, time to wake up, go to work. You spend the majority of your day at work. You come home, you're tired. Like there's very little time for anything else like fun. And that's sad actually.
Yeah, it absolutely is. Shout out to my parents, man. Because, like, how are you coming home from work to tend to some kids, dude?
I don't know. Like, don't talk to me. Don't look at me.
Like, dude, what?
Yeah.
That's insane. That's insane, man. So, what can we do? You know, we know that there is a deficit of fun. Like, what are your thoughts around, like, how we can, I guess, help each other kind of devote the energy to fun while also still streamlining a way to achieve like our goals?
I think it's an interesting one. And I think first it starts by identifying, like, what is that fun thing that you want to do? So for me, I don't know yet, like, what I would want to do for fun or as a hobby. But you've identified, for example, playing video games. It's like, currently, I feel like we tie fun to the like execution of things you don't enjoy doing. And I don't think that necessarily needs to be the case. So
What do you mean by that?
like you reward yourself with something you enjoy by doing something you don't enjoy. So like, I don't feel like washing dishes, but if I wash the dishes, then I'll allow myself to watch an episode of my favorite show or something like that. Like, I think that's currently how we approach the idea of like fun or like leisure.
Yeah. Because like you're trying to like incentivize yourself with like a reward. And I never really thought about it in reverse, where like, you know, you might be incentivizing the things you don't like to do with the things you like to do. But I never thought about how that kind of disincentivizes
The things you do like
you
doing.
do like to do, because you're now associating it with the dread of the things you don't like to do.
Yeah. So I think
That's crazy.
first,
You over there spitting.
I think first, like decoupling those things, like you can have fun and you can also do shit that you don't want to do, or do shit that's like labor intensive, whether that's mental or physical labor, but you don't have to do one in order to get the other. So
Yeah.
identifying what are the things that you like to do or want to be able to do, and then scheduling time for those things, like being intentional. Like, you know, you have to go to work 9 to 5, for example. You know, Mondays you cook. Tuesdays, maybe the time that you would have spent cooking, you could do that fun thing. Wednesday, maybe you cook again. Thursday, that time you'd have spent cooking, you could spend that time working on your goals. And it's like, you don't have to work on your goals first in order to have fun. You could have fun and then work on your goals. I think being intentional about scheduling time for those things is really important, and an important first step in reintroducing the concept of fun and enjoyment without strings attached into your everyday life.
Yeah. Yeah. That's definitely a good idea for sure. And then even as like you're saying that, like for me, you know, I think about like my unique challenges with this kind of cycle that I'm in with the procrastination stuff, where like I delay this thing because of like the overwhelming emotions. But then as I like think about the thing that I'm delaying, I start to then develop new emotions around feeling bad that I'm not doing it. And then I would try to distract myself. And that's when I may consult the fun things in the most extreme way and a very uncontrolled way. And then I feel bad about not doing the things that I should be doing. And so giving yourself that permission, like outright saying that you give yourself that permission to have fun, I think is a great thing to do for my fellow procrastinators. And, you know, going back to something I kind of said in passing about identifying like the high impact things, really take into consideration what those high impact things are, I think are really important. Because even though I like to see the big picture or like end results of stuff and don't really like to delve into like the details that much, I do find myself kind of spinning my wheels trying to identify those details mentally without actually just saying like, all right, I'll get something started and just go from there. And giving myself permission to even do that is a great start as well. Sweet. Yeah. Yeah, so we talked about relationships, but we also managed to talk about career and even just general life enjoyment. So I think, you know, something I'd like to ask you, which I'm trying to even figure out how I can even do that, but I guess that's part of what the brainstorming is, and will also be a part of your assignment, is like, how can I help you accomplish that goal? You know, the goal outside of like the job, you know, where you want to travel to every continent.
I mean,
Other than footing the bill.
and I don't know.
But you know, planning trips of my own, where you can. I actually saw that on like one of my friends' stories, where she had like this thing of like, I want to be with someone who just plans the whole trip and just says pack your bags. You know, so that is definitely something that I have identified and thought of that I would be like, yeah, let me
That would be cool.
let me get into that. Yeah.
Just make sure we ain't staying at like no hostel or something, no Motel 6.
Gotcha.
But yeah, that would be nice. Or even like in my thinking about this, just having a conversation like, when would you like to achieve this by? What's a realistic goal for us to set? Is it one continent per year? Is it two? Like, what's the goal? When do you want to achieve this by, and how can we make this happen? I think just like helping me flesh that out would be really helpful, and then like committing to it as well. Like if we say we're gonna go to Europe next year, for example, like help me ensure that we do go to Europe next year. Even if you're not footing the bill.
I'll foot the bill, my darling.
So kind.
I'm gonna foot it, I'm gonna hands it, palm it, head
Bye.
it. I'm gonna dive into it.
Bye. Because I don't know if American Airlines taking them things there, your hand, your foot, and your head.
Mark the receptionist and say, can I pay in love for my darling over here? And they're gonna say, yeah. Just watch.
Well, I'm gonna be watching.
The credit card to them.
But reversing the question for you, like, and I guess since your current goal is more career focused, or you could pick something else, but like, what would be the ideal like support from me in terms of achieving your goals? I mean, if there is any more that I can do after all that I've done.
Yeah, because I mean, to acknowledge what you're talking about here with the semi-shade is, you absolutely have helped me in establishing deadlines for different things that I have wanted to do for the coaching. In terms of the follow-up, though, and adding the other deadlines for the stuff.
Yeah, I suck at that.
We kind of fell off there, buddy.
We did.
We fell off drastically with that one. So,
Okay.
Picking up with that, reassurance, I think, is really good, because I could remember a time where I was really like bugging out internally about something, on like if it's clear enough or good enough for me to like just get started, and you looked at it and was like, yeah, this is great to just get started, and I instantly felt like relief. And so I'm beginning to accept that, like, it's okay to accept that type of outside assistance, because internally it's just not something that is strong enough to carry that by itself, and it's okay to rely on that external assistance to get me there. Because I think like deep inner messages from, whether it's patriarchy, masculinity, capitalism, or even a mix of all three, that kind of emphasizes this idea that as a man, an individual man, you have to like nobody ain't gonna hold your hand in life. And so you gotta like do this off of your own power. And so like there's definitely like some interwoven pride that comes with asking for like that kind of help, or even being specific about it. But even as I like talk through it, like just being able to ask for that reassurance if I like run something by you and just get it done, I think that would do wonders, as I would need that reinforcement, because that reinforcement is a key factor in facilitating change. Like being able to kind of just say something once, even though like I would know it, or even be aware of it. Like even awareness is temporary, right? Where like in a sensory way, I'm aware that you're there. But as I turn, you're not in my awareness anymore.
Gotcha.
It's the same thing with like those statements. Like I'm aware and I have experienced this, but because all of the other stuff that have been habituated seep back in, the power of that goes away. So reinforcing it helps to create that permanence. So yeah, so
Gotcha.
definitely like the following up and like the reassurance of like the stuff that I like have already, so that I don't spin my wheels on the insignificant stuff or the low impact stuff. Yeah.
Cool. Gotcha.
Yep.
And that is how you bring it back full circle. Because you're in a relationship. We're each working on our own separate goals, things that we want to achieve.
Yeah.
But we can work together to help the other person achieve their goals, whether career or personal or whatever else kind of goals there are. And goals don't have to be like these large, giant things like Khef trying to save the world.
Someone's got to do it.
You're right. And it just happens that is going to be Khef.
Yeah.
You could have a goal like me where you just want to travel. You could have a smaller goal than that. Maybe you want to walk an extra 500 steps a day. Like, no matter what the goal is, why are you looking at me like that?
That should be you. We have mail, so we'll actually get in them steps. Right? Right after this?
Yes, right after this.
Yeah.
Not like I'm hungry and ready for dinner.
Oh,
But
my bad.
right after this.
What's 10 minutes?
You're right. What's 10 minutes?
Yeah.
So the assignment is for you to share your own personal goals, your own career goals with your partner.
The biggest one, not the small one.
All right. Khef say go for the bigger one.
Well, no, not that it has to be the biggest goal. Your biggest goal. Your biggest goal could very well be that 500 steps. Don't share your 10th largest goal. Like, what's the thing that's on your mind the most that you're trying to accomplish? Mm-hmm. Share that with your partner and ask them.
Or rather share with them ways in which you would like for them to support you in that goal.
Yeah. And really have like a discussion around that, because you can absolutely let them know like the best ways to support them. But given that everyone is their own person, they should absolutely have a space to articulate how best they think they can support you. And then you all can work together on how to marry those two approaches, those two styles, to create something powerful.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So yeah. And then if you don't have any goals as a couple, we also suggest that you create 1 or 2 goals as a couple that you'd like to accomplish this year.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then work on those.
Yep. Because we got our couple goals, we got our relationship goals.
We do.
Yeah.
And we've marked off a couple, so that's
we
cool.
Marked off a couple.
Right? But the formula to a healthy relationship is not a secret, but it's not always clear. Stick with us. And we'll give you the tools, the tips, the tricks, and everything that you need in order to have a happy, healthy relationship. Peace.